Hi, Giselle Monbiot here to speak to you about different tips and techniques to help you improve your well-being. Today I'm going to be talking about loneliness. Loneliness is something that many of us might experience at different times in our lives. And loneliness is something that quite often other people don't seem to notice that someone might be experiencing it. I think there's often this misconception that being lonely means you're on your own, you are alone. But actually, people can feel lonely sitting in big groups, and people who are alone don't have to feel lonely. So this idea of loneliness is more a sense of being, a way of feeling, a way of experiencing the world around you. Humans are social creatures. We have been developed, we have evolved to be part of a tribe, to be part of a group, to have that sense of belonging. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that loneliness is as big a health concern as smoking too much, drinking too much, eating the wrong foods. Because when we feel lonely, the way we respond within our bodies is the same as though we're being attacked. It puts that stress response up. It puts us into hyper alert. And sometimes it's really hard to even know where to start with how to help yourself from feeling lonely. I think loneliness is probably a much bigger thing today than it has been. People imagine loneliness as being just with the very old or the very young, but anyone can feel lonely. People who might seem as though they are busy could actually be very lonely. So it's really important to keep our awareness open for people, to check that they're okay, ensure that they are getting out, doing things, seeing people. Notice how people are responding and communicating with you. Notice if they eat alone or they don't join in with the banter. Notice if maybe someone who lives on their own is always popping off away at weekends. Maybe it's because being at home is too lonely for them. It's important to look out for others, but sometimes it has to come from you. If you are somebody who is experiencing loneliness, it can be very hard to know where to begin and how to help yourself to try and take a step away from this immense feeling that you can have. So what's really, really important is to recognise it's just one step at a time. It's not going to be cured overnight. It's not something that can be dealt with overnight. It's not about suddenly joining 50 million things at once and all the loneliness goes. It's about taking things at your own speed, realising that you don't have to rush it, and just taking a step at a time. Finding groups is a really good place to start. And I know at the moment it's a bit more difficult to find groups to go to. And ultimately that is what we're wanting, isn't it? Is to have that person-to-person connection. So you might find that there are still some groups meeting, especially outside. Maybe there's gardening clubs. But this could be a bit more tricky. But there are so many online groups now. There are, and I think the one good thing about an online group is you can observe a little bit before you jump in. You can watch a little bit. You can see the people, experience what it is and how it is that they're communicating. And you can take your time. And it will take courage to step forward and voice your opinion or maybe even join in with the conversation. But it's amazing how willing people are to connect with people who are wanting to connect. So sometimes it is just about taking a deep breath and thinking, I can do this, I can start this, and you never know what might happen. If you're somebody who has experienced mental health issues through the loneliness, or maybe mental health issues have created the loneliness, there are some wonderful charities, wonderful groups that help promote mental health, that help to reduce the stigma of mental health. And sometimes by meeting up with people, exploring these ideas, being able to pass on your own experience can help you make sense of what you're experiencing, and also give you a positive purpose, and also to be able to connect in with like-minded people. So there are lots of different ways in which you can do this. Also, there's the opportunity to do befriending. If you look online, you can find different places. Mind Charity, Health Watch has the opportunity to not only Health Watch would help be able to help you talk through your experience with others and explore the stigma behind mental health and to help reduce that. Mind has different befriending services, and there are other charities in which you're able to sit and chat about things, and all this can happen on the phone or online. It's a nice, safe step to be able to be connecting in with others, recognising that you can do this, and people do want to hear you. Volunteering is another lovely way to start breaking down those barriers of interconnection, of socialising and being part of something. Whether that's volunteering in a charity shop, there are so many different things, conservation groups. There are lots of volunteering experiences at the moment helping people within the community. The wonderful thing about volunteering within your own community means you get to meet other people. And I can assure you there will be people out there who have your interests and who you can connect with. And the more involved you can get with your community, the greater sense of purpose you will get. And once again, the more you can feel as though you can start to belong and have a place, find your place within there. Reaching out to someone, letting them know. A lot of people who experience loneliness, a lot of people who struggle with how they're feeling, they can often have a really good mask, being able just to smile and say, yes, everything's fine. But actually knowing that people who are fond of you will want to know how you're feeling. And it's not until we reach out to them are people ever going to know that you are struggling. And if you are to turn to someone and say, I feel lonely, I have this feeling of loneliness, if you choose that person well, then that person will help reach out to you too, and give you, maybe include you in things, or say some things which enable you to start opening up more and be able to experience life in a different way. So reaching out to someone is really, really useful and great. And it's amazing when you start telling people about your experiences, you start to realise how many people are experiencing the same things. You saying to someone, do you know what, I feel lonely? That person might say, do you know what, that's exactly how I've been feeling for the past few years. You never know what's going on in someone's head, and it might surprise you just by you opening up, how that gives someone else the permission to be able to open up themselves. If you feel that reaching out to someone is one step too quick, or you don't necessarily have someone in your life that you want to open up to, or maybe you do but you would like to talk about it with a professional, there are so many talking therapies out there. You're finding yourself someone who you can sit and chat about what it is that's making you feel lonely. What is the root of your loneliness, and how is it that you could overcome that and start living a life that you would be more fulfilled in. One thing that is really important as well is to just be careful about comparing yourself to others. It's really important to ensure that you don't compare yourself to other people, assuming that they're doing so much better than you. So many people who are struggling have this belief that everyone else is doing a much better job than them. But actually, there are so many people who are struggling with the same things, so many people who are struggling in their own way. And We don't know what's going on in someone else's heads, and we don't know what their lives are. We only ever see a snapshot of their existence. So it's not possible to compare ourselves with others, because they're only going to be offering us small snippets of their own reality. So having that comparison, all that does is it compounds within yourself a greater sense of negativity or a sense of lack, which is often completely unhelpful for you. So if you notice that you're starting to compare to others and compare yourself to others, just know that that's not a reality. That's a story that you're making up. So just put that to one side. It's not going to help you. And lastly, what's really important is you look after yourself, that you have good self-care. Ensure you're looking after the food you eat. Get plenty of exercise. Exercise is so good for raising the mood. Get out in nature. No matter what the weather, going out in nature, there's so much going around. Our brains activate in all ways when they're out in nature. You can get the opportunity to chat to people when you're outside as well. So so exercise, getting outside, really important. Try and sort of do that reconnection. Get plenty of sleep. Ensure you're getting plenty of sleep. Making sure your sleep routine is really good. Making sure that your bedroom is really comfortable and not too light. Make sure it's dark, the right temperature. So really, really looking out for yourself, and ultimately being kind to yourself. Notice what type of thoughts you're having within yourself. Notice if you have got those critical, judgmental thoughts, or whether you're thinking kindly to yourself. Because if you start thinking towards yourself with kindness rather than criticism, you might start to notice all the wonderful traits within you, that it makes you worthy to be able to be going out there to connect with others and to making a life in which you feel happier with. So I really hope that this has been of help. I can suggest, maybe look on the Mind website to get some ideas about where it is you can go and what you could do. Otherwise, just having a look at different local groups or volunteer opportunities for you, and get to understand that you deserve to have a life in which you feel happier, in which you feel fulfilled. I wish you well. Take care.